Hey guys, where should we go next?
How about Zara?
Let's go to H&M, guys.
Okay.
Hey guys! Whoa, Maria! I love your sweatshirt. Where is it from?
H&M, duh.
Well, it's beautiful. So, are we going shopping or what?
Yeah, let's go.
Wow! This is beautiful! I wonder where it came from or who made it.
Who cares? All that matters is that it's beautiful.
And it's super cheap too. It's only $5. Yeah, but don't you guys ever wonder why it's so cheap or who made them? See, it says it was made in Bangladesh on the tag. I wonder why it was made all the way there rather than right here in the States.
You question everything too much. It doesn't matter about who made it or where it came from. It matters that it's there for us to buy.
So, do you guys ever wonder where your clothes come from? Because to be completely honest, I never did. Until this year, in English class, I had an assignment about garment factories. I used to get blinded by the incredibly cheap prices in stores and never cared about who made my clothes. But after we had this unit in English class, I realized that the garment industry was actually a lot more complicated than I ever thought it would be. So first, let me quickly explain what a sweatshop is. Sweatshops are factories where workers work long hours under poor conditions and for very low wages. Sweatshops produce many different goods, including toys, shoes, and furniture. And most of the world's clothing is manufactured in sweatshops, including many designer brands. And some sweatshops are are located in abandoned buildings, which leads to a lot of accidents. During my research, I found out that these countries listed above were the ones with the worst conditions. These countries are Bangladesh, Vietnam, Cambodia, China, Mexico, Indonesia, and Turkey, which is my homeland. Obviously, seeing my homeland in this list wasn't the best feeling in the world, as you might imagine. So when in the Renzulli program, I got to select a problem that I wanted to change. I knew it was going to be this one. I want to quickly talk about a building called Rana Plaza, which is the building on this picture, or what's left of it. Well, Rana Plaza used to be an 8-story building in Bangladesh until it collapsed on April 24, killing over 1,000 people. On the lower floors of the building, there were several shops and a bank, and on its higher floors there were factories, which, you guessed it, produced clothing. On April 23rd, large structural cracks were discovered in the building. The shops and the bank on the lower floors were immediately closed, and the people who worked there were instructed not to come to work the next day. But the factories on the higher floors did not close, and workers were actually pressured into showing up to work. A few hours into the day, the building collapsed, and most workers were killed. Nearly 2,600 were injured, many of them for the rest of their lives. The ones that survived were trapped under rubble or machinery until they got rescued, which took several hours, sometimes even days. And this was 5 months after the fire, which was in Tazween, also in a garment factory, and it killed over 100 workers as well. As you might imagine, these tragedies led to a lot of grieving and protesting. People tried to figure out who to blame for all these accidents that kept on happening, especially in sweatshops for some reason. Well, some blamed the government, some blamed the factory owners, some blamed the consumers, but most people blamed the brands that employed these factories. Some of the brands that were associated with the Rana Plaza accident are Mango, Benetton, Joe Fresh, H&M, Jack & Jones, Zara, The Children's Place, Walmart, and Primark. These are all brands that I'm sure most of us shop at pretty regularly, or have shopped at once or twice. And these are all brands with a lot of incomes. They all have a lot of stores and a rate of turnover of 2, maybe 3 days, which they profit from a lot. It's more than we can imagine. In fact, the co-founder of Zara is the 4th richest person on earth with a net worth of $68.5 billion US. And the sons and daughters of the co-founder of Walmart are the 16th, 17th, and 18th richest people on earth, with net worths of 34, 35.1, and 35.4 billion US dollars. According to an article called The Hidden Cost of Fashion Worker Safety, released by Bloomberg, labor rights activists are urging global merchants to help pay for safety upgrades at about 4,500 Bangladesh factories. Doing so would amount only 10 cents per garment, and I'm sure all these really wealthy people could afford to spare the money to help keep the factory workers safe. So I thought maybe there weren't any safety regulations because these people weren't getting punished for what they were doing. But it turns out there are, so I kept on researching the reason why these safety regulations aren't being followed. And I came across this video called Fashion by John Oliver. In his video, he said deniability is stitched into the supply chain, which is a really accurate statement. Buyers subcontract too much to get out of trouble. They try to keep the supply chain as long as possible so they have the distance between the factory workers and the consumers as big as possible. This way, there isn't enough evidence to blame any of the brands. After Rana Plaza collapsed, factory owners said that they were reached by other factories, which kind of proves his point. And subcontracting also leads to companies not paying the compensation that they need to pay to the workers after these accidents, which is a right that these workers actually have. And when some companies actually do pay their compensation, they don't pay enough, or they pay less than they were supposed to do. Also, these sweatshops make living conditions worse for people who live nearby, because they use chemical dyes that pollute the environment around them. They dump all these extra chemicals produced due to using these dyes into the water sources nearby. For example, this river, it's called the Slurm River, it's located in Indonesia, is one of the 15 most toxic places to live near. This is mostly due to the chemical dyes used in sweatshops near the lake. The garment industry is the second largest polluter in the world, second only to the oil industry. And this statement was actually made by Eileen Fisher, who is also a designer and owns her own clothing line. The dyes used to color the clothes made in sweatshops contain lead, mercury, arsenic, and a number of other toxins. Also, Greenpeace found disturbing amounts of nonylphenol during their tests in the river flow. They have stated that these toxins can be deadly to aquatic life and can actually burn your skin if you touch the contaminated water. And as if all of this was not enough, when people try to protest for their rights, they get attacked by the local police. But luckily, there has been some improvements. After the Rana Plaza accident, an accord was immediately formed in order to keep the factory workers safe from fires and from unsafe buildings. This accord was signed by over 200 companies, including some of the ones that were kept accountable for the Rana Plaza accident. But some companies still refused to sign the accord. And I believe that encouraging these companies to actually sign this accord would make a great difference. Some of the companies that have signed this accord, although they were responsible for the Rana Plaza, are Benetton, H&M, Mango, and Primark. And the companies that haven't signed it yet, although they were responsible, are Gap, Joe Fresh, The Children's Place, Walmart, Zara, and Jack & Jones. Obviously, these are only a few brands, and there are still some that need to sign this accord. So there are some 3 easy things you could do in order to shop ethically. You could ask some of the brands you regularly shop at to do better and change their ways. You can contact them on social media platforms and ask them who made your clothes. You can use this hashtag, it's called Who Made My Clothes, like many celebrities and consumers already have. Or you can support local small businesses around you. Instead of shopping at these big fast fashion brands, you can go to the smaller shops around you. Also, there's this app called Good On You. It rates brands on how ethical they are when it comes to making their clothes. You could download the app in order to know which shops to shop at. These are only some suggestions, and there are more on this website or in the True Cost Movies website, which is a movie about this topic. These are the resources I used during my research. You can check them out for yourself if you want to get more information on the topic. And you can watch this movie because they have explained the situation so much better than I have today. And thank you for listening to my presentation, and I hope I have inspired you enough to try out at least one of these methods. And don't forget to use the hashtag #WhoMadeMyClothes and take action.